Let me start with a simple question. When your vehicle is repaired after a collision, do you assume it's repaired according to the way that it was engineered? Or do you assume that it's repaired according to what an insurance estimate allows? Most drivers never think about that distinction. This week, Stellantis, the parent company behind Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, Alfa Romeo, and Fiat, released formal guidance clarifying how certain parts must be handled during a collision repair. Not cosmetic parts, not trim pieces, structural fasteners, sensor-related components. These are parts that directly affect how the vehicle performs in the next crash. And when a manufacturer feels the need to restate something that sounds basic, it usually means it isn't being followed consistently. Let's talk about why. Hey everybody, welcome back to another airing of grievances. My name is Eric Raymer. Super glad that you are here today. Let's talk a little bit about what Stellantis just did. Modern vehicles are engineered systems. Some fasteners are designed to stretch when tightened. They're called torque-to-yield bolts. This stretch is intentional. It creates the correct clamping force. Once stretched, they cannot perform the same way again. Some retainers lose holding strength once removed. Some adhesive-backed components can't be reinstalled with the original integrity. These are called one-time use parts. They're not optional. They're not nice to replace if convenient. They're designed to be replaced. Stellantis clarified that if these components are removed during a repair, they must be replaced with a new genuine factory part. Which brings us to the obvious question. Why did they need to say that out loud? Well, let me give you a practical example. A vehicle comes in with front-end damage. The bumper reinforcement is removed. Several structural fasteners are taken out in the process. The insurance estimate covers the visible damaged parts. It doesn't list every torque-to-yield bolt that must be replaced, but now the shop has a choice. Either reuse them or pause the repair, research the manufacturer procedure, and request approval for those replacements. Replacing those bolts may add a few dollars. Reusing them costs nothing. If the repair plan is being driven primarily by the estimate, those bolts may quietly go back into the car. Will the vehicle look fine? Sure. Will you ever know that those bolts were reused? Probably not. But will those fasteners perform identically in a future collision? That's the entire point of this video. That's why the manufacturer clarified the rule. It's easy to hear this and think, well, that just sounds excessive. But it isn't. Vehicle structure is engineered to manage crash energy in specific paths. Fasteners control how panels hold together, how force transfers, how airbags deploy in sequence. We're not talking about decoration. We're talking about the mechanical chain of events that happens in milliseconds during a collision. You only get one chance for that to work correctly. The second clarification from Stellantis focused on bumper repairs involving advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS. That's blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, similar technologies like that. Here's the important shift. Bumpers are no longer cosmetic covers. They are mounting platforms for radar sensors. Stellantis addressed paint thickness limits over sensor areas, restrictions on body filler or bondo near sensors, and required scanning and recalibration procedures. Let me translate that. If the paint is too thick in the wrong spot, radar performance can change. If filler or bondo is applied too close to a sensor mount, signal transmission can be affected. If recalibration is skipped, the system may operate outside the manufacturer tolerances. And here's the uncomfortable part. The vehicle will start. It will still drive. The dash may show no warning lights, but the sensor could be reading slightly off. We've seen vehicles come through our doors after being repaired elsewhere, where blind spot monitoring behaved unpredictably. Sometimes it alerts when there's nothing there. Sometimes it misses when there is something there. When we research the prior repair, we often discover that recalibration documentation doesn't exist, or filler was used near a sensor mount, or that paint thicknesses were never measured. These systems are precise. They're not forgiving. They're designed within tight parameters, and when those parameters shift even slightly, performance shifts with them. That's not speculation. That's physics. Now let's address the dynamic no one likes to talk about. Insurance companies manage claim costs. Many shops participate in their direct repair programs, their partnerships, if you will. When a manufacturer requires a procedure or a part that doesn't appear on the original estimate, someone has to advocate for it. That takes time. It may require supplements. It may slow the repair. It may create friction. So here's the tension. The manufacturer's job is to protect the design integrity of the vehicle. The insurer's job is to manage costs. And the shop is often caught between those two forces. And the consumer assumes that everything is aligned, even when it might not be. Stellantis also made it clear that when replacement is required, genuine factory parts must be used. Not aftermarket equivalents, not recycled fasteners. The reason is straightforward. Crash testing and system validation are performed using factory components. When a part affects structure or sensor performance, consistency matters. You can't assume that a visually similar part performs identically under stress. Engineering tolerances are tight for a reason. When you pick up your vehicle after a repair, you see the paint, you see the alignment, you see that it looks complete. But here's the question. Was it repaired according to engineering standards or according to a cost-controlled estimate? Those are not always the same document. That distinction is what this Stellantis clarification exposes. After a collision, you don't need to argue, you don't need to be confrontational, but you do need to be informed. Ask, are you following the manufacturer's repair procedures for my specific vehicle? Are there any one-time use fasteners being replaced? Are genuine parts being used when they're required? Will there be pre- and post-repair scans? Have all the safety systems been recalibrated? Now, if someone responds with, insurance isn't going to pay for that, then the conversation should continue. Insurance is intended to restore the vehicle to pre-loss condition. That's what the terms of your contract says. Pre-loss condition includes safety performance, not just appearance. Vehicles today are mechanical, electronic, and software systems all integrated together. The margin for imprecision has shrunk. Manufacturers are issuing clearer documentation because repairs require greater precision. When they restate something like this, it's not administrative, it's corrective. It suggests that shortcuts are occurring. Here at Nyland's Collision Center, manufacturer procedures guide the entire repair. If a fastener is designated one-time use, it's replaced. If recalibration is required, it's documented. If genuine parts are specified, that specification matters. This is not about escalating cost. It's about restoring performance. Your vehicle was engineered in a certain way. It should be repaired in exactly the same way. And when a manufacturer like Stellantis feels the need to clarify that certain parts cannot be reused, that's not trivial. It's a signal. It means consistency in the field has not matched engineering expectations. As a driver, you don't need to memorize procedures, but you should understand this. Not every repair that looks complete is complete. Ask the questions, because the next time your vehicle is called upon to protect you, you're going to need it to rely on every detail that you never saw. Those details matter. I hope this has been helpful for you. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to make it all the way through to this part of the video. If you did, would you drop a note in the comments? Let me know that you saw it all the way to the end. And if you have opposing thoughts or supporting thoughts, I'd love to see those in the comments as well. Thank you again for watching the Airing of Grievances. We'll see you again next week. And until then, happy Saturday.